It's really the front four, and they're turning them loose.
You're exactly right, Howie. It's caused Kansas City to be completely out of sorts. Mahomes is rushing his throws. He's trying to get away from the rush. He makes a poor throw to Kelsey. Has another poor throw later on. Kelsey and Hunt run in together. A botch play. Throws an interception. He's got 6 pressures. He got 2 interceptions and 3 sacks. That front four is dominating.
Travis Kelce, 0 catches on two targets. DeAndre Hopkins, 0 catches on 2 targets. Someone needs to step up and spark this offense.
Yeah, they've got 0 points, 23 yards. When we come back, don't forget Hip Hop MVP. All right, Michael, you saw the first half. You saw the highlights. Give the Chiefs hope.
I mean, the Chiefs have done an incredible job of stopping the run. They just need to figure out a way to get off the field and stop giving up the big plays in the passing game. And on the other side of the ball, you have to protect your quarterback, because the second pick by Mahomes, he got knocked into. I think he's back there. He's getting a little jittery. You have to figure out a way to protect him, and you just got to give him time. This is a guy who's led some of the greatest comebacks that we've seen. These moments are what he's made for.
They have not been able to run. They haven't even tried to run. Only 3 rushing attempts. First 3 plays out of the game were passes. All they need is one play. All you need is a spark. You can tell right now that they're down, but to come back in the second half, the confidence can come back. And Michael's right. One big play, one quick score. I don't care how you get it. Kickoff, punt return. Just one score is all Kansas City needs to start believing, okay, we can play this game, we can win.
And something we saw before, the big turnover that they had against Philly turned the tide. Defensively or special teams, in some way, shape, or form, they need to get a turnover or create a big play.
All right, Jimmy, do you talk as the coach, one play or the comeback?
Yeah, they've got a full half to play, and all it takes, one turnover will give them the spark. You know that Mahomes can complete some passes. They've got to protect the passer better than what they've done the first half. But if they'll protect the passer, they get one turnover, get a quick score, they'll be back in it.
We go to that Zach Bond play at the goal line. Sweat is having a great half, and Michael talked about it. This is a pressure on Patrick. Vaughn is in the zone, and it's what this defense does. They play zone, they read eyes, and he took him right to the ball. And Bond has been a revelation for this football team.
Somebody was down 28-3 in the third quarter once.
Yes.
You still believe?
Yes, possibly. We will see, because the Philadelphia Eagles have been just absolute dominant in this game. And we will see if Patrick Mahomes has some Tom Brady in him. And we will see if Coach Andy Reid has some Coach Bill Belichick in him as well. So only the second half will tell.
All right, the lights are out. That means the
halftime of the Super Bowl, and wow, 24-0. The Eagles flying high through 30. Everything that can go wrong has gone wrong for the Kansas City Chiefs, but a lot of that caused by some havoc up front by Philly. Already 2 interceptions for Patrick Mahomes as we look at the second largest halftime lead in the history of the Super Bowl. Joe Musso back in studio alongside Lee J. Duzebolt, Ryan Harris, Emery Hunt, and fellas, I didn't think we'd be sitting here having this conversation. 24-0, a team that's looking for 3 straight is looking and saying, what has happened in that first 30 minutes? It's all happening very fast. Your biggest takeaway, Deuce, through 30 is what?
The domination in the trenches by the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line. Josh Sweat is having a field day with Joe Tooney. Already a second half. Milton Williams has had a sack. The young kid, Jalen Hunt, he's looked unblockable at times. There's something that Andy Reid has to do to get this ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, because if he continues to hold it, he's going to continue to get hit. He's going to continue to get sacked. And Ryan can maybe speak to this, the psyche of an offensive lineman, once you've been beaten once, twice, 3 times, like sometimes you go in a rut, and that right now is what Andy Reid is fighting against, right? The confidence of his offensive line, because right now it's getting dismantled by this Eagles defensive line.
You got to punch your way out of the matrix. If you guys ever get caught here, you got to punch your way out of the matrix. And the problem, to your point, Lijay, is that it's one lineman and then another. So what happens, you go back to the huddle and you're saying, oh man, it's my bad. And then the next time you go back to the huddle, your teammate's saying it back to you. You're like, well, whose bad is it? Who's going to start getting good?
Correct.
And as much as the Eagles are dominating, and they absolutely are, the Chiefs have not looked anything like themselves. Somebody got the voodoo doll on the Chiefs, and it's been working. But they have to come out. I would go up-tempo. I would pass it quickly. I would start moving my players because the Chiefs look slow compared to the Eagles right now.
What has bothered me this entire first half is that football is not that complicated. When you are looking at what's happening to this offensive line of Kansas City, why are we still in shotgun? Why are we still putting these guys out there? Give me those 2 tight ends, get in ace formation, help out those guys, and run downhill. These dudes are getting off the football with quickness, with aggressiveness. Turn those pass rushers into run defenders. Get those extra tight ends out there, 2 wide receiver set, and just run the football to slow down that pressure. Then get back out there in your empty set, because right now you're playing right into the Eagles' hands.
Chiefs getting dominated in time of possession, but not without their possessions. Punt, 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 interception for 6, punt, interception, punt. That is not what you want to bring to a Super Bowl. That is not what you want to bring to a party. And this is going to be a Philadelphia party if something doesn't change in a hurry. You talked a little bit about adjustments. We'll get there in a second, but I'm still taken back by the flow of this game. We're looking at 3 rushing yards for Kansas City, and it's likely going to finish in that neighborhood because you get one-dimensional now, having to pass your way back into a ball game. You said it doesn't look like the Chiefs. I point to the turnovers, and I point to penalties. 4 for 45 and a couple that were declined, excuse me. This is a group led by Andy Reid that comes into it and lets you make the mistake. What have you made of their mistakes thus far, Rob?
Well, the Nick Bolton one was the biggest one so far. That penalty really changed the drive for the Eagles. But in terms of the offensive line also getting some hold, this is not the Chiefs that we know. They are a clean operation, and really Andy Reid does a good job with play calls to make sure that's the case. So I'm with Emery. You get back to just some basics, and the thing you need to do when you're in a struggle on the football field is start with the basics. So I would hand it off. If we got to do it 3 times to get everybody rolling, you do that. And you stop using Travis Kelce as a tackle. He's not going to pass block for you, especially against this front.
Right now, we're seeing what the Chiefs used to do all throughout the games, which is why they won these Super Bowls, is that they haven't made the plays that are there to be made. Eagles are doing that, catching interceptions, making those crucial tackles, those pass breakups. They're in the right spots in pass coverage. So they're out-chiefing the Chief, pun intended there, with the green the Eagles wear. But I like the fact that they're beating the Chiefs at their own game. But 6 completions in the first half for Patrick Mahomes, that's just unheard of. And he has to start to pick up his play and find those easy ones.
The craziest stat for me in the first half, we talked about time of possessions, and we talked about this earlier this year. It's hard to get in a rhythm when you don't have plays. The Chiefs have 17 plays at half. The Eagles have 37. Like, you're not going to win many football games when it's that big of a disparity on how many plays you actually have. To Emery and Joe's point, the execution. To me, this has been the best execution type team in the NFL in the Kansas City Chiefs, and they haven't done that today. You talked about the Nick Bolton penalty. I go back to the Charles Omenihu penalty, the Trent McDuffie penalty that led to 7 points later. This is a team this year who I felt didn't have the talent of previous Chiefs teams, but they reminded me of those Patriots teams because they didn't beat themselves. Well, they're beating themselves this game, and they're losing the war in the trenches. You talked about the run game moves. We talked about it. That was my key. I said the Chiefs have to be able to be consistent running the ball in light boxes. Their offensive line is not only getting whooped in the pass pro, but they're getting whooped at the line of scrimmage on run plays as well. Talking about 3 yards on 3 carries. They're not able to get in the flow on offenses because, 1, they're not executing well, and 2, they're getting whooped at the point of attack.
It is a team that has out-executed their opponent time and again. Where they lack in talent, that's where maybe they make up for it. But they're playing the most talented team in the NFL this season, and that talented team is out-executing the Chiefs. Halftime always interesting at a Super Bowl, no matter if it's 24-0 or we're looking at a 1-point game. It is a different set of circumstances for these players, Ryan. You sat in that locker room. Obviously,